Hello guys, TAFHD here and welcome back to another video, and today we'll be taking a look at this. Now if you saw my last video, I had a look at two 15-inch PowerBook G4s which I bought for £45, but they came in pretty bad condition. They were destroyed in shipping. Now at the same time I bought that, I also bought this from a different seller. This is also a PowerBook G4 and it was very cheap. I paid £10 for this. Now they bought it at a car boot sale for I don't know how much, probably more than £10, and it had no charger. They couldn't get a charger for it for whatever reason, so they never tested it. They don't know if it works or not, so they sold it on eBay for £10 as spares or repair, and I bought it for £10. Luckily I've got quite a few PowerBooks and quite a few PowerBook chargers, so hopefully we'll be able to take a look at this and see if it actually works. But first off, just taking a look at this thing, considering it was £10 and how old it is, it actually doesn't seem to be in that bad of a condition. There's some sort of residue on there, but that should come off if I actually bothered to clean it. I've given the whole machine a bit of a wipe down, but if this thing works or is worth bothering with, I will give it a bit of a better clean. Now I've already shown you the ports on the other ones last week, but let's just take a look again. Power, modem, USB, audio in out, expansion slot. There's a scratch there, but that's not really something that bothers me. On the back it looks like we've got all 4 screws. It's not often you find these still with all their screws, so that is nice. All the screws are on this side too. Kensington lock, USB, Firewire 400, Firewire 800, Ethernet, S-Video and DVI, and of course on the front we have our optical drive. If we take a look on the bottom here, this seems to be in fairly good condition as well. There is some scratching on it, which is of course to be expected. So it looks like this has actually been looked after quite well. Let's see if there's any charge in this. No. I'm guessing that this is going to be a completely dead battery, but let's just take the battery out and we can take a look at what model we have got. So it looks like it has an official Apple battery in it. That's probably why it doesn't work, because this is a 2004 battery, so very old. You can't really expect a battery to still function after all that time. But in here are the specifications. Okay, so let's take a look at the specs in here. This is a 1.3 gigahertz G4 with 256 megabytes of RAM, a 60 gigabyte hard drive, as well as a combo optical drive, so not a super drive. I don't know if you could even get these with those, I'm not too sure. And also we have Bluetooth as well. Don't know if this thing has Wi-Fi. It probably does, but I'm not too sure if this works. I guess we can take a look. So this is quite a nice machine. Okay, so this will be a test of how much use this thing has got. Let's try pressing the button. Okay, that actually sprung up quite nicely. I've seen ones bounce up more, I've seen them bounce up less, or I've seen them not bounce at all. So this one doesn't seem to be in too bad condition for its age. The hinge still has a nice weight to it. You can open it up without the whole laptop lifting up, which is something Apple has always been good at, and it pretty much stays wherever you put it, so this seems to be in pretty nice condition. Looking at that screen, looks a bit grubby, doesn't look to be damaged or anything like that, doesn't look like it's been kicked while in shipping, which is always a good thing. This keyboard feels probably better than the other ones I have. I don't think this has had much use at all. Some of mine feel a bit loose. This feels nice. It requires just enough weight to press each key, so I really don't think this has seen too much use in its life. We've still got the screws on here, which is good. It's got a UK keyboard, unlike one of the ones I had a look at last week. The trackpad doesn't seem to have too much wear on it. It only seems to click on the left side. The right side doesn't seem to click. This is a single button anyway, so it doesn't even have right click, so that's not really a big problem, but at some point I may take this apart and try and fix that. Or maybe I'll replace it with one of the trackpads out of the damaged ones. Who knows, I may use those for parts to make one nice working PowerBook. I suppose if this was completely dead, I could use this casing and put the 1.5 GHz logic board in this. I would think that would work, but I'm not too sure. I don't think there's any internal differences apart from the logic board, so that may be something we do in the future. So there's not really too much to look at in here. Let's just press the power button and make sure that it is dead. Yeah, I'm guessing this hasn't been charged or powered on for years. I'm guessing the person who was selling it at the car boot sale hadn't turned it on for ages. That's why they were selling it without a charger. Then the person who bought it from the car boot sale, of course, didn't have a charger, so they've probably not tested it for a long time also. I've now got my PowerBook power cable. Let's plug this thing in. Straight away we've got a green light, so it looks like the computer is receiving power, and it's now gone to orange, implying that it's going to charge the battery. Whether it will or not, who knows, but let's now try and turn this thing on. Okay, everything's ready. Let's press the power button. We got a bong, which is always a good sign, but let's see if anything comes up on the screen. Of course, PowerPC Macs do take a long time to show anything on the screen, so let's just see if anything does show up. I think the hard drive in this thing might be dead. I can hear it starting to start up, then stopping, start, stop, start, stop, and it looks like we now have some sort of grey screen. It's kind of white at the bottom and going darker as it goes up. I don't think this thing is going to boot. Oh dear. I'm not sure what is now happening. I can still hear the hard drive trying. It looks like we've now got just a white screen. I just turned the camera back on in time to catch that, but there was some sort of weird artifacts, and now we've got a folder. So yeah, it can't boot, but there's also some weird artifacting going on as well. I'm not really too sure what that means. It can't find something to boot from, but I'm not sure why the graphics are going funny. So I was just going to say the artifacting had gone away, but it's now come back. I mean, this could just be a faulty display, so I guess we could try plugging it into an external one, but I don't think that will really help. It can't find a hard drive, so let's turn it off and go into the boot menu and just see if anything shows up in there. So I'm guessing either the screen is bad or the graphics are bad. I've not had one of these before which has had graphical problems, so this is kind of new. The artifacting's gone again now, so I don't really know what its problem is. Let's turn it off. I've just had a bit of a weird problem. It just started beeping at me and the little light on the button started flashing rather rapidly. I've got no clue what that means. I don't really have much experience troubleshooting these PowerBooks. They've always worked, so I've never needed to. Let's bring that a bit more into frame. Let's plug it in again, and this time I'm going to try and get into the boot menu. So I will press the power button and then hold down Alt. We're getting a bong. I don't know if these things bong even if they can't recognise a boot drive. I'm not really too sure. So I'm holding down Alt or Option. Let's just see if anything shows up. I can still hear the hard drive starting and then stopping. It looks like this is the boot menu. The trackpad seems to work. It's got its little watch there loading. Don't think it will find anything. Can't click until it's finished loading, so let's just wait for this. I'm really not too sure if you can hear the hard drive. I'm going to try and get a close-up. Okay, so to test out whether the hard drive is bad or not in this thing, I've got out this drive. This Seagate drive is the drive that came in my PowerBook G4, so I can try and boot this externally through USB to see if it will boot to that. It will be extremely slow if it can boot, but at least we can then see if it does boot, and then if it does boot we can see if it still has those artifacts or not. However, does this machine meet the requirements for Leopard? I believe Leopard needs 512 megabytes of RAM, and if I remember correctly, the little spec label inside this thing only said 256 megabytes. So let's take the RAM door off the bottom of this computer and just make sure that there is only 256 megs in here, because it may have been upgraded at some point, and of course the label wouldn't reflect that. So let's take this door off and take a look underneath. Alright, and just like that, the door is off. It looks like there is only one RAM stick in here. It is Samsung RAM, and it is 256 megabytes. There we go, there is the RAM that is in here, so no Leopard on this thing today. So I think what I'm going to do is take the RAM out of one of the other PowerBooks which I've got, and I'm sure I've got enough in those which will total 512, and then after we put that in here we should be able to boot Leopard off this drive. Okay, I've just put in an extra stick of RAM and we now have 768 megabytes of it. So I will take the big screws off the side of this drive, put it in my hard drive dock, plug it in, and then we will see what happens. Okay, so let's try this. The extra RAM is in, so Leopard should be able to boot. Here is the USB cable coming from my hard drive dock. I will just plug it in to the USB on this side. I don't think it matters which side I plug it into. I will now turn the dock on. That is now on, and let's plug in the power for the computer, turn it on and press down Alt so we can hopefully choose that drive to boot into if we can. The hard drive is spinning up in the dock and something is still loading here, but it's not showing up as a drive yet. So let's just be patient and see if it does show up. Yeah, we're not getting anywhere with this, so I think we will just leave it here. So that did not work out, so I guess there will be a part 2 to this video at some point. We can try target disk mode with this thing, so that will be something I do within a few weeks. I'll have to order a Firewire cable, but then we should be able to get something to happen with this thing, so that is something to look forward to. If you would like to see that, please do leave a like and subscribe. But that will be it for this video. This was a £10 PowerBook. Does it work? Well, kind of. It kind of booted up, but there were some problems, so I'll give this a maybe. Maybe it works. You'll just have to wait for a part 2. So thank you very much for watching this video. Hopefully it was interesting in some way, and please do stay tuned for the next part. Hopefully we should be able to get this thing working. So thank you very much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.